Well, if anybody ever wanted to know if Duke can win the big one and also be able to pull away from a team, they sure did prove it tonight. They've won many big ones this year, but a lot of them were very close. This one against number 20 Louisville, a 31-point drubbing. Amazing performance by the Blue Devils.
83-52 to be specific. And yeah, Chris, this was borderline inspiring.
Yeah.
You know, you see so much in college athletics nowadays, right? It's all about the money. It's all about the ego. Duke is somehow all about the team, and that's something that Jon Scheyer has really done well from day one here since taking over for Coach K. And with this team specifically, he really seems to have broken through. We were talking about this, you know, off mic. You know, maybe last year's team with Cooper Flagg was more talented, more flashy. But this might be the one that finally gets over the hump because of a lot of the things that we're going to get into here.
It's one of those things, the teams which you look at, like you have the for sure head. It's Cameron Boozer. It starts with him and ends with him. But everyone else after that, like one of the things that people were down on Duke about it was it felt like there wasn't that Robin to his Batman. And now it looks like everybody is Robin.
Yeah.
And it's starting to happen at the right point of the season. One of the things Jon Scheyer said a few weeks ago is January is when you learn what a team, who a team truly is. He got that from Coach K. And if you look at Duke right now, 8-0 in ACC play, they beat Louisville now twice in January. And they're starting to run away with games. And not only that, they're shutting down the other team's best scorer. You have Abuka Okori from Stanford, was really shut down in that game when they had their West Coast road trip. Michael Brown tonight, even though it's his second game back and he's a freshman and all that, this is a guy that's probably going to be a lottery pick, probably a top 6 pick in the NBA draft. 7 points tonight.
That's incredible.
Only made one shot, and that was a second half 3-point shot. Other than that, he had 1 point of the game where he was 0 for 10, and a lot of that is Duke's defense.
And not to make everything about UNC, but in the Duke and UNC rivalry, these two schools are always going to be judged. And it's been the opposite for Carolina, where a lot of other teams' guards come in and have career nights. They're not able to play with that same level of consistency and energy. And maybe, you know, talking about finding our identity in January, maybe UNC has found it after that big win over Virginia. But to bring things back to Duke and what they're doing, what Jon Scheyer told us, what the players told us, one of the ways they're able to be so consistent is this emphasis on inflection points within the game. And Chris, that's really coming down to like these specific moments where, you know, it's basketball, it's a game of runs. So basically what they're talking about is, okay, you just went on a run, other team calls a timeout, they're going to come out with intensity and energy. Let's flip it. And they have done such a great job with that, because that's the only way you can explain beating a team that's in the top 20 by 31 points.
And that's one of the things I think is definitely a difference between Duke right now and maybe Duke maybe a month ago even, because they didn't step on other teams' necks, right? They'd go up, they'd have the typical Duke run, but then teams would be able to come back. That's how they lost versus Texas Tech, honestly.
That's how they lost versus Houston in the Final Four.
That's exactly. Like they were able to get up, and all of a sudden the teams are able to come back, and it's almost like Duke had this attitude. We're Duke. We're going to win. We're going to be able to turn it on at any point. And it bit them in the butt one time this year, and it looks like they're not going to let it bite them in the butt anymore. Like Louisville made that amazing 3-point shot, 25-24 in the first half. They were up for 36 seconds of the game. All of a sudden just went away. Duke just runs away with it after that. And if you just kind of look at it right here, the plus minus for Louisville's starting five, minus 28, minus 30, minus 28, minus 31, minus 18, versus Duke's starting five, plus 27, plus 26, plus 24, plus 24, plus 26. Like that is dominance.
Yes.
That is complete dominance. And this is not like the Louisville team from 3 years ago. This is a Louisville team that a lot of people, I mean, Pat Kelsey is the reigning ACC Coach of the Year that a lot of people felt like probably should have gone to Jon Scheyer. Pat Kelsey is now 0 for 4 versus Jon Scheyer. And this is the worst one yet.
I think, to put it in Pat Kelsey's words, it was a butt whooping. I think he said that what?
He said it like 10 times. It was a freaking butt whooping. It was a freaking butt whooping. We got our butts whipped. Like he said it so many different ways.
No bleeps needed, though. He did at least keep it FCC approved. But, I mean, really, there's no other way to say it. Duke was the more physical team. They were the more aggressive team. And I think that's something that bodes well for what this team, we were talking about January, but what they could do in March. Because Jon Scheyer said it Saturday after the, close to 30-point win over Wake Forest here at Cameron Indoor, that he's adapted to this team. that he thought maybe they'd be better at threes on offense, and that maybe they would be a switching team on defense, because that's kind of his preference is from a coaching standpoint, switching. But if you watch Duke, they're not really switching.
Yeah.
They're fighting through screens, and then on the offensive end, their identity, they are physical, they win the paint, they win the rebounding battle. So it's kind of, that's one of the best things about Shire is his ability to adapt, and we're seeing it happen in real time.
He called it prescriptive coaching, which was cool that there's a name for it. And he was saying that he's asked his team, do you like this game plan on certain games? And he didn't like what they had to say certain times, so he's been able to adjust from there. He said it didn't make him feel good, but he's able to really look at it like, okay, we told you to focus on these 7 things. Let's make it a lot more simple. Let's focus on these 3 things in the game. That's his prescriptive coaching. He's literally adapting to every part of this team. So he's not going to coach this team the same way that he coached the team from last year or the year before. He's tailoring it to what he has on the floor. And January has been very much so indicative of that prescriptive coaching, because they're just running away with things right now, and they still have a lot of big high-level games coming up. But right now, if you're any team in the country, they have, of course, North Carolina coming up. They have Virginia coming up, out of conference game, 1 more left versus Michigan. If you're any team in the country, why would you want to play Duke right now? They're absolutely on a tear.
They really are. And Shire, for going into deeper on prescriptive coaching, less is more was the other thing that he talked about. And I think when you look at UNC and NC State to compare them to the other teams in the Triangle, there seems to be a disconnect versus what Will Wade and Hubert Davis is preaching and coaching versus what we see on the floor. I mean, Will Wade has even just kind of put his hands up to be like, I don't know how to get through to this team. We've seen it with UNC as well, even though they've bounced back after that rough California road trip. But for Shire, there's clearly him and his staff have found a way to break through to these guys.
Absolutely.
That every single year you come into Duke, it's the highest rated recruits in the country, and he finds a way to get these guys to buy in. And I think what's interesting about this team's makeup too, though, is that there are some returning players, so that probably helps it. And he even pointed out, I hadn't really thought about this entirely. No transfers play significantly on this team, so they are doing things a different way here at Duke. Obviously, they have the luxury of almost infinite resources applied to it, but money doesn't solve every problem. There is some great coaching going on here at St. Cameron.
To focus really quick on the buy-in, you have Cameron and Caden Boozer, top recruits from last year, and of course, Nicholas Hemenia. I mean, that guy could have been a starter on any other team in the nation, and he's coming off the bench. He's playing less minutes, but he's bought in. He's playing very hard defense. You have Dame Sarr, who was a professional over with Real Madrid last year overseas. He's come in, he's playing his role, he's bought in. And then you have guys like Caleb Foster. He's in his 3rd year at Duke. That's rare. You would think that he could have transferred out. He could have tried to go pro already, but he's bought into his role as well, and he's a great starter for them. And so many different guys with those stories, that these are highly touted, highly recruited guys, but now they are bought into their roles. And man, if Duke looks like they could be the favorite right now. I mean, I don't want to talk too early. This is still January, but Duke looks amazing right now as we stand.
And we're talking about January, but they're certainly going to have an inflection point coming up here in February when they take on the Carolina Tar Heels. So we're looking forward to that. But college basketball season certainly heating up here in the Triangle. For Chris, I'm Pat Welter. This was our Rapid Reaction.